keep trying. Hello, friends. So, as promised, this week we have Darrin Lythgoe, the creator of TNG. Daniel, it's good to have you. Can you tell me a little bit about how you, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from and how you got into development.
Sure. Yeah. I live in Utah and I'm married with three daughters who are all pretty much out of the house already. Been in software development for almost 30 years now. Uh, Started into Genealogy about end of the 90s. Just kind of happened upon it, made a discovery and it was like, wow, I'm all in. And so
I remember when I
after that,
found my first census record, it was like that.
yeah, I hadn't done anything with genealogy. And then my wife had a scrapbook that she never looked at. So I typed something in to a search engine one day and it was there and it blew my mind.
Yeah.
And so from then on, I was just trying to find anything I could. I noticed that a lot of people had put their info online. And so I thought this is a way to do it because then I can network with anybody, people who are searching for my stuff or with it, and we don't know each other, they'll just find me that way. So I had Ancestral Quest at the time, and I used that to create one of those static websites, and it was nice. But every time I made a change, I had to recreate all those pages all over again.
Right.
And so then I grabbed another small program called Jedcom that also generated static stuff. It was written in Perl. And
That's still out there, by the way, or the fork of it is still out there. I saw it yesterday.
Yeah, so I knew some Perl, so I was just tinkering with it, and that was on my website too. But then one day my provider just lost everything that I had, and I was a little bit angry with that. I mean, I had a backup, but I thought I'm done with you. I'm moving on, and so I found a different provider. And they had support for something I had never heard of called PHP. I thought, oh, this looks interesting. So I had just started learning how to do database programming. So I thought, I'm going to do my own thing with this PHP and MySQL database. I threw something together and just for my own site and had it up there for probably about a year. And then I thought, with a few changes, this could be something that everybody could use.
Yeah.
So I went down in the basement and came up like 2 months later and had something that was I called TNG 2.0 because it already been one, for a year. And I was just surprised how well it started catching on. So it looks a lot different today than it did back then, and a lot of that is the first version didn't even have support for sources.
Okay.
That's how primitive it was because also because I'm a terrible genealogist, but I take a lot of my suggestions straight from users, and they'll be like, "Why don't we do this? Why don't we do that?" And it makes it into the program.
Well, excellent. Well, can you show us a little bit about the program? Usually the starting question is, I've just downloaded your program. We'll get to installing the program a little bit later in the show, but I've got it up, and where do I start?
All right, let me share my screen and tell you. Is that okay?
Yep.
Let's see. All right, can you see it?
I can.
All right, this is my own website. I'm using one of 20 free templates, or you might call them themes, that come with the program. I like to use one of those and without too many changes, just so people can see that, what it will look like straight out of the box.
I like this particular theme. Which one is it? Because I played with some of them.
This is number 16,
Number
and
16.
I apologize that they're all just numbered.
Yeah.
I probably should have thought of a different way so that you could more easily distinguish, but this is number 16. But maybe I can start before I show you around, start with showing how it gets installed. I have that over here in another window. Maybe I can shrink just to make sure you can see everything.
Oh, yeah, yeah, if you just move it a little bit to the left.
To the left. Is that good?
Yep.
All right, so this is the installation instructions. And it's really not that much. See, there's like 10 steps. That's it. The first one is just upload all your files and folders to your site. So before you start, you have to have a website, and you have to have some way of moving files to and from your website. And so to have a website, even stepping back one more, it means that you have to have a hosting provider and a domain name. Now, a hosting provider usually costs you about $5 a month. You can pay more if you want to, but you really don't need to for a genealogy website. You can go with the bare minimum. Some places even less than $5. Some places are free, but you get what you pay for there.
Yeah. Performance on images is going to be pretty bad.
Yeah, and a lot of the free sites, they want to attach code to everything that you display. And sometimes that little extra code, like ads or whatever, that messes with the data flow, and
yeah,
things break. So I would recommend staying away from those free ones. Yeah, and a domain name will probably cost you about $15 a year. That's pretty inexpensive.
You can get them for closer to 7 or 8.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right now I'm paying for a bunch of them. That's how I know.
Maybe you get it in bulk.
.coms can be expensive, but some of the others can be real inexpensive.
Okay. So to upload everything, when you get TNG, it'll come as a zip file, and you unzip it on your computer, or some places will let you upload that zip file and unzip it on your website. But the first thing is you're going to need a way to upload files, and your hosting provider will give you an FTP login. And so I recommend you grab an FTP program. There are several that are free, including one called FileZilla.
It's one of the best.
Yeah, it's really good, and it's free.
So let me stop you here. I don't want to get too much into the technical details about installing it, because we can take people to your website to get those instructions. Mm-hmm. I'd rather see the product itself,
okay.
And kind of where you start with it once it's installed.
Yeah, I'll just leave it here by saying this process that you're looking at here, that'd take like 5 minutes. Once you get to this point, it's just click, 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 enter your database info, click, and you're pretty much done. So that's should be no sweat. All right, so here's my website. I like to use mine because I'm familiar with it. There aren't any gotchas. And I always I like to put the search box up here in the upper left, because that's what people will see first. And when people come to your site, they can search for something, or they could just hit the surnames link, or there's an advanced search page. So let's search for my name. I immediately get let me back up this side to my window here. A list of people with that surname. And if I want to search again, there's a quick search here. Maybe I could just search for everybody named David instead. So I get all those. And I can sort my search results by name. It's like or by birth date. So there's a little of that.
It's pretty responsive.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, that will depend on your server and your network availability, but yeah, I like it. You can see for all these people, if I hover over any of the links, I'll get a preview. So like if I have 100 people all named Henry Dahl, I can go, which one is this? Oh yeah, there it is. And some information. If I'm looking at let's see, go here to this is the advanced search page. So this lets you do a little more in-depth looking, like maybe I say it just starts with David or ends with David. or what is the gender. There's even a section down here for other events. You can have just a whole myriad of custom events that you could search on down
So
there.
you can search on almost anything.
Yeah. If it's in your file, you can search for it. And let's go back to the surnames page. If I just click surnames, this is what I'm looking at. And if I then click Lythgoe here, you see what I saw before.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this heat map button up here.
Okay, and then I got a couple questions from the comment section.
This is just a curiosity where it shows where are all my Lythgoe names located. Well, they're mainly located in Utah and in the UK.
And those are grouped by the places that you've identified.
Yes, and you can drill in, and it'll show, there's 9 here. And this is based on having a Google Maps availability as well.
Do you have to sign up for your own account for that?
Yeah, you just have to have a Google account, and they'll give you a free API key that you enter into the TNG settings.
Gramps had kind of the same thing, not for web display, but for within their program. And probably that was the most complicated part, was getting that API key. Questions from the group. First, Lewis says hi. I assume you guys probably know each other. Lewis Kessler.
Yeah.
Yes. He says Perl is one of the oldest web languages. That's true. And then he wants to know how big, how many people are in your tree, and how large a tree can TNG handle?
Okay, good question. If I go over here to tree, it'll show that I currently have about 14,000 individuals in my tree.
Okay.
And I have seen trees in TNG have more than 1 million people.
Whoa.
Now, I wouldn't recommend that most people go out and throw 1 million people into their database, because for most servers, most people who have a website are going to have like virtual hosting, meaning they're on the server with somebody else. They just don't know it, like having a party line. And so you're not going to have full resources on your server. And so the more people you have, the more it starts to drain. Usually, though, if you keep your numbers under 100,000, you shouldn't have any trouble.
Okay. So Sandy Larkin had asked, and I don't think she's here live, but we'll be watching this later, about Historical Society putting 300,000 for a town. Yeah.
I read that question, and if you've got 300,000 people, you might want to check your server and see how fast it is or how dedicated it is. If you've got a dedicated server, you might not have any trouble with 300,000.
But you may not get by with it for the $5 a month package.
That could be true. Yeah, you just have to see.
All right, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, let's keep looking through my surnames page. By the way, you can see this kind of graphs the most popular surnames. I got little charts down here. These charts normally display on the side, but since I've shrunk my window, they're displaying down below.
Did I see you had Thompson?
Yes, I do have some Thompsons. Let's drill in and see those. I have an ancestor named Ralph Thompson, who came over from England to Utah back in the 19th century.
Okay.
So there he is. If I see if I click through to him. So for each individual person, you see if I have a photo, they can appear right up there at the top. And I've got all several tabs of information that I can see. I can scroll down to see not only their events, but also their parental family, and then any marriages they've had. This Ralph has had 3 marriages, and he had 7 children with his first wife, and 1 with his third. And for each of those, I can see a group sheet. Just click on that. And I see his wife and all the children. And there's even a family chart. You can look at it this way. So I can see, here's Ralph and his children with Anne. And I'm descended through Margaret.
This was not planned, people, by the way. I had no idea until just now that he had Thompsons in the tree, but I'm looking for shared ones and haven't seen any.
All right. It's kind of a common name, I guess. But All right, so let's go back. Let's go back to Margaret. So on Margaret, I can let's see. I click down here to the event map. This is where I see my Google Maps. And I've put just this load the map link here so that I don't load it just for every crawler that comes by. You have to click there to see the map.
Okay.
Then it loads Google Maps and shows you where the where all the events are. They're mapped, or they're pinned right there. Okay. I can also see a pedigree chart for Margaret, and just added in this new release the ability to drag it all around and also increase or decrease, or even just go back to the original size.
Just because I'm a techno geek, what are you using to do the graphing? D3 or something else?
Those pie charts you saw before, those were D3. This is just JavaScript.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Diane says, what if you don't want to have a website? Can I still use your software?
Yes, TNG is web-based, so but you could still use it without a website, but you would have to have a web environment set up on your computer. If you want to do that, I recommend something called WAMP server if you're on Windows environment, or MAMP, M-A-M-P, if you have a Mac.
Yeah. So you would have to be somewhat technical.
Yeah. If you're not familiar at all with those things, you might find it a little tricky. Maybe you have a friend who can come over and help you install it. But if you can get that installed, you can run a TNG, because it'll be set up like having your own private little website that only you can see.
Right.
You run it straight from your hard drive.
Randall wants to know how easy is it to work with members of your tree in the program, which I imagine you're getting to.
Members, you mean like
individuals, like adding facts and events and things like that?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And I don't want to rush you if you I know you're getting there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's come back to that. So I'll show you a few more of the views that you can see here, and then we'll talk about editing. I want to talk a little bit more about the pedigree chart. And you can see when I mouse over people, I see more of their information, and I can then jump to any of those. The little pencil icon means that I can edit if I'm logged in. Let's see, and the arrows on the right side will allow me to scroll through the tree one direction or the other. And there are various other ways I can view this chart, like in a vertical sense, compact, more boxy with data, or this is like a text. This was the very first pedigree chart that I wrote. It's still out there in case you like it. Some people do.
Yep.
There's an Untitled variety. And a fan chart, which was donated to me by someone else who wrote this and then said, you can have it for the program. Like, awesome.
These are some of my fans are some of my favorite.
And then, I can change the number of generations that appear on any of these charts. Yeah. Same for descendant charts. So here's one for Margaret, and it's hard to see all the descendants at once, but I can, zoom way out and then kind of see it. Or I could go the standard way, which is more of a vertical left to right. And like with the ancestors, there's text and register format. You can also do a PDF. So I click here to create a PDF.
That was fast.
PDF of descendants. Yeah. Relationships. Here I've already searched for myself once, so I can already just calculate. If I wanted to search for the relationship with someone else, I could say find that person. So let's find my grandfather's Leo Lythgoe. So I just type that in. Oh, there he is. Now to calculate the relationship. You can see Margaret is the grandmother of the wife of Leo Thomas Lythgoe. So that's how that works. Timeline just allows you to put anybody that you've viewed so far on a timeline here, and this is a mashup. The timeline is written by someone else, and I'm just it's called Simile Timeline. I just dumped that in there.
Okay.
We didn't talk about Jedcom yet. You can allow people to download partial Jedcom of your data. You know, maybe up to just a few generations. You can control that. You can also say, no, I don't want people to download a Jedcom file, and turn that off. You can also allow people.
Well, one of the questions I've got is about updating it. So is there an initial Jedcom load that I can do, or do I have to, is that behind the scenes? I saw something about creating a folder. And
Yeah, you can do a Jedcom load.
Can I do it from the UI here?
Yes, from the what we call the admin menu.
Okay.
That's where you can edit people as well. Okay. So just about just a minute or two here when I'm done showing you this part, we'll go to the admin menu and show you all those things. Because this is where people can submit a suggestion, just like, hey, I think Margaret's birth date is wrong. And this will result in you getting an email. So other ways to find people are from places. You can see all the places names in my database. Like, let's go to Massachusetts, and here are a bunch of different place names within Massachusetts, like Plymouth and Middleborough. When I click on the magnifying glass, I'll again get a Google Maps view of that area and any events that happened in Middleborough, Massachusetts. Okay. There's a calendar. Shows you everybody who was born or died or christened on that particular day. You can decide which events are included and which aren't. I can scroll through to a different month or a different year.
Will that generate an iCal file that you can export and import into another?
No, I haven't done that yet. That's okay. A good idea. All right. One other thing to mention here is cemeteries. This is not a Jedcom friendly thing. It's just something that I was interested in. I love going to cemeteries. And so I thought, I'm going to have a table in my database for cemetery information. And so now I can come in here and enter all my cemeteries and then drill down and say, well, in Salt Lake City Cemetery, I can go there and I can pinpoint individual gravestones so I know exactly where they are. Upload a map of the cemetery, and here are all the headstones. You notice that anytime I hover over any thumbnail in the program, I can get a preview. And then if I click through, I can see more of that media. And that's the same for all the photos. If I go here under media and click on photos, this is all the photos that I have in the database. I could search, show me just the ones that match that. Again, I can click through. I want to show you one thing before we move on, and that is in some of these that are group photos. Let's see if I get James. Let's see if I've done this one. Yeah, see, so I can I can put image tags on there to tell you which of the people here I have more information on. I click there, it goes to her page.
Oh, excellent.
Yep.
I like
and
that.
then over on the right here, there's an info tab where I can see what's new in the database. You can say only show anything that's new in the last 30 days or 60 days. Sometimes I don't add a lot of things, so I've taken off the limit. It'll just show you the most recent 15 things in each category.
Now, is this displaying living people?
It can if you want to. If you're logged in, well, let me back up and say, you can withhold all living information if you want, or display it if you want, or make it dependent on user rights. So by default, it hides all information for living individuals. So if you're just anonymously browsing my site, I've allowed you to see the names of living people, but I won't let you see anything else. Like if I search for myself, this is what you see. My parents, my children, that's all. No information. Now you could, like I said, you could take this off so that if I searched for Darrin, it would just show nothing. Like, sorry, we don't have anyone but with that name.
Okay.
And so that's available as well.
And I'm sorry, I missed this from before. Net want to know: can you filter the calendar to certain portions of the tree?
You can't. Well, you can't. If you have more than one tree, you could filter it by tree, but you can't filter it to a section of that tree. What you can do, like I was saying down here, is turn off various events. Like now I've turned off death, turned off marriage. So all I see is birth dates. So that's something that you can do there. Oh, and I don't know if you noticed up here, but TNG has been translated into about 20 different languages. So I can come and choose Icelandic. And you can see that all the menus now have been translated into Icelandic.
Oh.
Now, any of your data that you have, like if I click on Lythgoe and click through to, let's see, where's my grandfather? The data, like what I wrote in the notes, that's not going to be translated, but
Right.
all the events are translated and all the menus are translated.
Yes,
And then,
do you have a help screen? Because where I've run into trouble in the past is where people, I mean, they want this, but what they really want is the help manual translated.
there's help for the admin area.
Okay.
So I can do that too. And there's a Google translator for that. All these messages that you see here that have been translated, those have all been translated by native speakers of that language. So I don't rely on an automated translator for any of this.
That's preferable.
Yeah. Well, one more little bit to show you before we flip over to the admin area. Like I talked about what's new. It's also most wanted. This is another thing that I was just into. And that's brick walls in my tree that I wanted to write a little description of. And so see those there. Reports. You can build various different listings of your people. Like these are just some sample ones, like ancestors with today's birthday. List that there. Some general statistics for your tree, like how many males and females and who are the longest lived people. And this might be a problem because I don't think anyone really lived to be 122 years old. Okay. So, and DNA. I don't have any DNA tests to show, but if you've got DNA tests for you or any of your people in your tree, you can enter those there and track those. So that's something cool to mention. Let's talk about the admin side. To do that, I'm going to log in. Once I'm logged in, you can see here's my profile, and I could edit that if I want to, if you're allowing people to edit their profile. And now there's an administration area that's available. I'm going to go there. You still see everything okay?
Yes.
All right, so this is your admin menu, and again, you can translate to another language if you'd like. It all is in Dutch. Back to English. Up here on the top, it might tell you some important tasks, like if some people have registered for user accounts and you haven't dealt with those, or maybe you haven't backed up the data in more than a month. That would be important to take care of. You can hide that if you'd like. You can even hide the left menu if you want to. Now, if you're just starting out, one of the first things it'll remind you to do is import a Jedcom file. So you come here to import, and you can go choose one from your own computer or choose one that's already on your website. And I should say that once TNG imports your Jedcom file, it doesn't use it anymore. So you can delete it at that point if you'd like to.
Okay.
TNG calls everything that's not the basic events like birth, death, marriage, it calls them custom event types. So by default, it will ignore everything else unless you really want to display that, just to keep things uncluttered. But if you check that, now we're going to accept everything. I'll set that up for you. Uh, there are various, or you can have any number of trees in TNG. So you could have a tree is an independent data set. So you could have multiple trees that are not related to each other, and that allows you to maintain them independently. So if I have a new Jedcom for my first tree, I can come in here and import it again without it affecting the second tree.
Okay, so this is the question I've kind of been holding back. So I load up my Jedcom. I've got a really nice tree. I've customized things on TNG. Now I go back to my family tree maker or my Roots Magic, and I'm playing around in there. And now I got a new Jedcom for the exact same tree with changed data. What happens if I load that?
Yeah, you come back and load it again. Depending on this replace option you pick, will replace some or all of your data with your new stuff. So I recommend that you choose the all current data most of the time. That is going to wipe out all your people and family and events to start with, and then import the file again. So if you've deleted something on your home computer, you'll want to choose all current data so that make sure it's deleted here as well. The matching option doesn't do a delete first.
Okay.
So it just pours in the new file, and if your IDs match, then we're going to overwrite that data.
So this is the warning. So if I download a Jedcom from Ancestry and upload it to here, and then 15 minutes or 3 weeks later I download another Jedcom file from Ancestry, those IDs will not match.
Correct. Yeah. So what you want to do in that case, you want to choose append. So when you choose append, then TNG will renumber all the incoming IDs so that there are no collisions with your existing data.
Okay.
Then you may end up with duplicates in this case. Like Aunt Martha is already in your tree, and she was.
So you're only matching on ID.
Yes.
And which ID field from the Jedcom are you using?
Just the
regular
INDI.
Okay. I'm very familiar with this particular problem. I have a WordPress plugin that's not as sophisticated as what you've got here, but it allows some of the same functionality. And constantly, it's like, oh, I uploaded a new Jedcom, and now everything's corrupted because Edward Thompson was number one the first time, and now Anne Frank is number one in the latest Jedcom. So
yeah,
it gets messed up.
Most desktop programs will renumber your IDs anytime you import it. So like if I have a Roots Magic database and I export it all to a Jedcom, and then I turn around and import that Jedcom back into Roots Magic, all the IDs are going to be changed.
Yeah.
So, or at least some of them.
Yeah.
So TNG,
I'll get off on a tangent on UUIDs, but yeah, there's some things we as developers can do to help with that moving forward. But so sorry.
TNG doesn't import. I'm sorry. I was going to say TNG doesn't change any of those IDs on import. Okay. It'll always import them exactly how they came in, unless you choose that append option. Okay. And you can export your whole tree to a Jedcom right here. You can pick which tree and which branch. A branch is a subset of a tree that's just there to facilitate permissions. So like if I wanted my mother-in-law to only be able to have edit rights from my wife's side of the family, I could put everybody from her side in a separate branch. So like I label all those people with this branch called Andrea's side.
Okay.
Then my mother-in-law would log in, and I've assigned her to that particular branch. So when she would log in, she'd see that she can edit anyone from that branch, but nobody else.
Oh, cool. Now, so let me go back to the calendar question then. Can I do the calendar just by branch?
No, because a branch is, like I said,
it's
just
part
for
of the same
permission.
Tree.
Yeah, the branch will allow you to withhold living information. So like if my mother-in-law, again with that example, only had rights to see living info or for her own side, then when she went to the calendar, she might see her daughter, and any people, living people from her branch, but the people on my side that are still living, she's not going to see them.
Okay.
Now, once you've imported your Jedcom file, you could, edit people right here in the program. And about half the people I know have, once they import their Jedcom file, they no longer use their desktop program. So it's about half and half. A lot of people still use their desktop program, but if you don't, then once you've imported, you can come to this people section and just look everyone up here. Let's look up everyone named Sorensen. You can see there's photos for some people. Where it says choose default photo, that means that I have a few photos for that person, but you haven't told me which one should go on the pedigree chart yet. So if I click there, that'll allow me to choose one. But otherwise, I can click here, and now I can see the information for Alton. And I can come edit it through all these events, or maybe I want to add a new event. Like if I want to add a census event, then I would add the date and the place and everything right there. It's just for fun. Let's say it was January 1880 in Boston, and he was in this census. So,
do you allow any customization of date formats?
Of date formats? Yes, you can show that. Well, you can. As far as numeric date formats, yes. So like if you're used to entering the date as 1/12/1880 or 12/1, you can indicate whether the month should come first or the day should come first.
Okay. And then so the two issues would be how flexible is it when the dates are coming in a Jedcom file? Does it easily recognize those different formats?
When it comes into the Jedcom file, it should always, it will recognize that. So most of the time it's in this standard genealogy format with day, month, year. But if it comes in that numeric format, it should recognize that too.
Okay. And you always display it this way?
Yeah, it's always displayed this way.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see, lots of information. These little icons around allow you to enter notes from that person. I can add a new one. This is a new note. I have two, but I could just, no, I didn't really want that one. Let's just delete it. Finish. Same with sources. If there aren't any of it yet, it'll take you straight to the add associations. And then for each particular event, I could have citations and notes, and even this plus sign is more. So like there's more information. And the little magnifying glass allows you to find that particular place name. So here's everything with Salt Lake City in the place.
So you've got a place database.
Yeah. Now a lot of users are LDS, so I have like LDS dates here. You can turn that completely off if you're not into tracking your LDS events. And I decided I don't really want this bogus event down here, so I'm just going to delete that. And you can have more than one set of parents. Like I have people in my tree who are adopted, so I might have a biological set of parents and an adopted set. And the one that comes first is the one that's listed on your pedigree chart, but you could flip between them anytime. Add any number of spouses, partners right there.
So it looks like you're gender neutral?
Yes,
on
very
those
much.
relationships. That's becoming more and more important for genealogy programs.
That's true. Okay, same with families. I can go over here and look up people by family. Let's look up her name, Lythgoe, maybe John. So this is the family of John and Hannah. And And again, here I can add children. Let's see if I can just find somebody named Thomas. I'll add this guy, Thomas Adams, as a child. But then I decide later, oh, I don't want to, he's not really supposed to be there, so I'm going to remove him.
So you're removing him, but you removed him, but you didn't delete him.
I didn't. Did you notice there was another option there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go back. I think I have a bug there with the number. You notice it went to -1. I'll have to look into that. I can create a new person on the fly right here and add them to the family. And once they're in there, let's add more than one. There's nobody named John, apparently. Oh, there we go. Now there's 2, I can drag them into the right order.
Okay.
Oh, that's interesting.
So a couple things. Helen's asking, she just wants to be clear, if I upload a Jedcom file, will I have to reattach media files?
You should not have to.
And that's as long as they match, have the same IDs.
Yeah, over on the import page, again, there's a little button you should click here, import media if present. Now, the actual media files are not in your Jedcom file, only the references. So TNG will import those references, meaning it'll say, oh, I know that person 123 is linked to this photo. So that goes in the database. But the actual photo, you'll still have to upload individually. Or you can use an FTP program to upload a whole batch, 100 or 1,000 at a time.
And then how would you link them? Are they linked by file name?
Yeah, the file, the name that was in the Jedcom file. So once you import that with the references, then you upload that same file, it's automatically linked.
Okay. Now, I noticed on the previous screen, if you can go back one screen, you have a save button.
I don't have a save button?
You have a save button.
Yeah, save button down there and up here. Just for convenience, there's one at the top.
So what? So if I make changes and then leave the page, I lose my changes? Or are you saving as you go?
Most of these changes, you have to click save.
Okay.
The only things, some things don't require that, like adding the children.
Okay.
Those once you add children, that is already saved at that point. Okay. Let's look at media just for a second. So here is where I keep track of all the media. I've divided them into collections. The Jedcom standard really only knows about photos. So when you import everything from your Jedcom file, they're all going to be called photos to begin with. But you can select a bunch of them here and convert them to documents if you like. And then TNG will remember them as documents from then on.
Okay.
Then I can say, oh, only show me the photos. Show me the photos that have to do with Lythgoe in some way. Okay. Then I can click through to any one of these. Let's find a group one. Children of James and Hannah. So there's a lot of information you can add here. Like you generate a new thumbnail for it. Link it to various people. You see I've linked this to everyone that's in the photo. You could find a new person. I want to go find all the people named Thomas again and link somebody new. You say, this is Thomas's default photo even. Then I decide, no, he's not really in here. I can link this to a place if I'd like to. Again, all you have to do when you're linking to a place is say, type in some of the place name. Let's see, it's Boston. Maybe I know that it's actually right there. And once I do that, the latitude and longitude are all automatically saved or dumped in the right fields.
Okay. Just as a technical curiosity, where's this data coming from?
This data, this is coming from Google Maps.
Do you have an initial load of place names I can choose from, or?
No, it just goes out and searches Google.
Okay.
Yep. Here in the image tag section, that's where I've allowed you to tag each of the people's faces. You can move these things around or if anytime I click through, it says, who is there? I've screwed it up, so I'm going to reload. All right, so I can drag them around, or if I click, I can just delete them, or I can make a new box. Now, let's say Lynn. Like this so now this person, Nancy Lynn Brown, whoever that is linked to that particular box, or I can put it over there, or just delete it. So that's how the image tags work.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else on this admin panel that you'd like to see more on?
I noticed you had albums. I wouldn't mind seeing the places tab there.
Places. Yeah. So here, this list of all the places, and my data needs some serious cleanup.
So you capture the latitude and longitude if someone does a search on it?
Yeah, if that is in the Jedcom file, it will come in along with the place name, or I have a geocode function that's also dependent on your map API that you get from Google. So you can say, run a bunch of the places through the geocoder, and it'll come back with that information from Google and save it in your database. I have a number here, so you can limit the number it does at any one time, just in case you're worried about network or the number of requests you've already made to Google. Sometimes they limit you.
Yeah, they do limit. You wouldn't want to do 100,000 at one call.
Right.
You probably say for 1,000 at a time. But Lewis Kessler's curious about where you store the face locations in the picture. Like
okay.
How do you match up those little boxes? How do you know where to put them?
There's a separate table in the database called image tags that basically keeps track of the coordinates relative to the image sizes and the width and height. Okay. And so the table has the width, the height, the X, the Y, and the ID of the person it's linked to.
Okay. You can tell we have some techno geeks out there in the showcase community. Myself included.
Right, let's look at a more interesting place. Let's see. I'll go back to Boston because I'm from that area. And I'll click through to any of these. Again, I click the map, and it goes right to Boston. But if I wanted to look for a different place, there's Abington.
And I'll share with the group. So Darrin and I discovered, Darrin, you've lived in Abington for a while, and I was born in Abington.
Yeah, crazy.
So, and you're in Utah, and I'm over here in North Carolina. So, the world keeps getting smaller.
If your data is messy like mine is, you can come in here to the merge and maybe merge some of those places that should be the same, but aren't. So, like Boston, MA, and Boston, Massachusetts. I know those are supposed to be the same. And I'm trying to get away from using the postal abbreviation, but that's how the data was to begin with. So let's say I'm going to merge these two. And this is the one I'm going to keep. So I'll just merge it. Now what that's done is anytime any person had Boston, Massachusetts in their data, Boston MA in their data, it'll be replaced by Boston, Massachusetts.
Okay. What about merging people?
Yes.
Because that can be a chore.
Back over in the people section, there's a merge button where you can say, well, I have two people that are the same. I'm going to merge them right now, and there's nothing to merge. But if I said, show me what you think is the next match. Well, it found two people who are named Mary Lythgoe because it's going off the first and the last name. Okay. These are obviously not the same because I look at the birth date and place, and I can tell they're not. If I was to, just say, these things have to match too. Find the next match. All right. This person's birth date match because there is no birth date, just the christening date. But again, now once I decide if I want to merge these two, then I would click the merge button to merge, and then everything from person 2 would go over to person 1.
Okay. I
can switch if I want to, put them on the other side.
It's a nice clean interface.
Thanks.
So let's talk about interfaces. So I looked at a lot of TNG sites out there, and you have a list of them on your website as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it was real obvious that a lot of people, I'm going to call it dump and go, where they installed the program, they they have their facts and figures on there, and then that's it. And some they look like they were built in the 90s. Talk a little bit about templates, and then do you have some non-tree related functionality in the program where I can add other pages or anything like that?
You can say that again, or you can add pages.
Like can I add a page where I like a blog post or a story?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Hold that thought then, and we'll get to that after talking about the templates. So here under the setup and template settings, this is where I can choose a template. And you can see that there are quite a few. Actually, there's only 20 that come with the program that are free. These other ones that I have listed here all come from a different company called Genealogy Web Templates. And they've been kind enough to create several more that are, I'll admit it, quite better than the ones that I made. And so if you want to pick one of theirs, here's what it would look like. They do charge a little bit extra for theirs, but they are very nice. So you might want to.
And I did reach out to Martha Bryant, by the way.
Marsha?
Yeah, Marsha, and very nice woman.
Cool.
And some real quality web pages. So for the community, if you're interested in building your own website, but you don't like the templates that come with, you can reach out to Web Templates, and they've got some additional ones out there.
And for each template, you can configure a lot of what you see on the homepage and the header. There's a welcome paragraph and all these other mini features that she lets you have. Her templates have a lot of options. So you could just go with what's out of the box. Oh, and I should also mention, each of these text fields allows you to make a translation in a new language. So I say, I want to translate this one into Afrikaans. Here you go. All right, now type that in. If you know the Afrikaans translation.
Okay. So it doesn't translate for you, but it gives you a place to have the other languages.
Right. Yeah. So maybe you only care about Swedish and Norwegian and English, and that's it. So you can ignore all the rest of these. Just do the ones you're supporting. Okay. And as soon as you save this, your whole site is instantly changed to that template. So if I'd said, just for an instant, my whole site's going to be changed. If I look back at home, this is what my homepage now looks like.
Very nice.
People who are coming to it now, they are going to see that. So let's quickly go back and change it back to.
I'm going to give you a friendly piece of advice. Some of these nicer websites are the ones you need to be showcasing on the TNG website instead of some of the old ones out there that look like 2002, 2005. Because I'm just going to say it. I was unimpressed with the ones I saw, and I'm blown away by yours. So you can you might help yourself by showing off some of the better ones at the top of your list.
Sure. And these new ones, these ones from Marsha are relatively new.
Okay.
So there aren't a whole lot of people with those yet. But as they come in and they offer their sites to me to link up here, I do put some of them up here. I'll show you a couple of them. Like this one, Ancestors South Africa. This is one of her templates.
Okay. Yeah, much more modern feel.
Yeah. And you see the person has substituted their own photos and all these little blurbs and their own text. So very well done. And any of these should link through to those people. Let's click there and see. I haven't visited this site for sure, or in very much detail, so I don't really know.
We're getting
If
close to
it's
the top of the
there, you go.
hour, and I got a few more questions the community
Okay.
sent out. Ryan Noyes, I probably butchering your name, Ryan. Sorry. What do you consider to be a limiting factor for exclusive use of TNG for genealogy research? In other words, if I didn't have a Roots Magic or a Family Tree Maker, I just use TNG. What limitations am I going to run into in terms of using it for my research?
Okay. The only thing I could think of is that a desktop program has more native codes. They can do some things that might be, that you couldn't reproduce on the web. So, and maybe it's faster, depending on how much information you have. So number of features might be something, or quality of features, just because the web programs or web environment is kind of limited to what you can do.
For security
So
reasons.
security, yeah, that's one thing, and also just because if you have access to, if you can do native coding, there's a lot more you can do than. Um,
For instance, integrating with other programs
yeah, that's
would be one
true.
of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and like when I showed you the PDF version of my
Yep.
charts, like the PDF programming is kind of hard.
It is.
So
I know what you're talking about.
I haven't done as much of that as I want to. So I'm sure the desktop programs would do a lot better job at that.
Lewis mentions that TNG has been one of the top-rated programs on GenSoft reviews every year for the past 12 years. So congratulations on that. One of the questions I've kind of held back, and we started to address it at the beginning of the show. So if I'm a non-technical person, I want a TNG website, it's not as easy as creating a WordPress website, for instance, in terms of the initial setup.
Yep.
And one gentleman asked, well, I've got a WordPress hosted site. Could I co-host TNG on a WordPress website? Like have it on the same site, even though I'm not delivering the content through.
Yeah,
Um,
if
WordPress?
WordPress is hosted on your site, and you mean like you still have access to PHP and MySQL, you can run TNG on your site along with WordPress.
Okay.
Now, some people have the free WordPress site, where they just set it up and you go to WordPress.com, I believe, and
Yeah.
set up there. TNG is not going to work there.
Right.
TNG doesn't work on any of those site builders where you don't have your own domain name, or there's just a WYSIWYG, drag things around. They don't give you access to a database. If it's just a static template, then you're not going to be able to run TNG there.
So what if I'm looking at this page you've got up right now, and I'm totally intimidated, and I just want a TNG site?
Yeah.
Are the people out there who will do it for me?
Yes, there's one host that I work with a lot that I recommend. They're called Simply Hosting, and I have a link to their site at the bottom of my homepage. You can go check them out if you'd like. But they're really good. They have excellent support, and they've offered to install TNG for anyone just for asking. So as long as you've already purchased the program. So once you've done that, they have a form on their site. You just click a button and fill it out and request your installation. They'll set you all up, and then they'll give it to you and say, here it is. You don't have to worry about any of this. I mean, they might be letting you create your own user account. I'm sure they would.
Yeah.
And they'll even ask you at the beginning, which template do you want? But you can change that at any time, even if you decide later you want something else.
Okay.
So they'll take care of everything for you.
So we are at the top of the hour. Let me switch us back here.
Sure.
And come on, program. Oh, it's doing exactly what I asked it to do. So this has been great. I think the look and feel of some of those templates really updates the program. you've obviously put a lot of thought. There's a lot of functionality in that program. There's a lot, and believe me, I know how hard it is to program some of that stuff.
Yeah, it's just kind of
Congratulations on a great product.
Thanks. It's just kind of accumulated over 20 years, just a little bit at a time.
Yeah, that's what I run into when I do a complete upgrade. Is, oh wow, this is more code than the first time I did this.
Yes.
Yeah. So I want to thank you for being with us, and I've posted a link to your website in the description, and hopefully I'll remember to do it for that hosting service that provides installation service. And I just want to thank you for being with us. This has been great.
Well, thanks very much for having me. It's been fun.
So I'm not going to, I won't drag this out. I'm not quite sure what next week's episode is going to be on, but I have reached out to several creators about appearing on the show, and I'm in negotiations. So you're going to see some interesting stuff in future episodes delivered by the creators themselves. So until next week, let's go out and remember that let's have some fun.